Monday, August the 19th, 2019. The time is 5 o'clock. We're calling the BEDC Board of Directors to order. First call of business will be public comments. Do we have any public comments this evening? Okay, it looks like we can move on. We're going to cover a couple of items first, starting with 3.1, approval of meeting minutes from the Bastrop EDC regular board meeting of July 15th, 20th, 2019, the special board meeting and budget workshop of July 22nd, 2019, and the special board meeting of August 1, 2019. Do I have any corrections or amendments?
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those approve?
Aye.
All those opposed? It passes unanimously. 3.2, acceptance of the Bastrop's EDC's financial summary report for period ending July 31st, 2019. We do not have the July financials at this time. So does that mean we do not approve them? We just move on? Okay, thank you very much. We'll cover those, I assume, during the next meeting. Makes total sense to me. 3.3, so we're consideration, discussion, and possible action to approve Resolution R 2019-0019 of the Bastrop Economic Development Corporation approving an agreement for provision of Main Street program support between the City of Bastrop and the Bastrop Economic Development Corporation. So I'm going to invite Rebecca Gleason up to the microphone at this time. I'm going to give a little before you start speaking. If you recall, we had a workshop session at which time Rebecca presented to us the plans for Main Street 2019-2020, the 2020 budget, and asked for the $50,000 support of the program that we have done in the past. We had quite a bit of discussion and really took a look at all of the items that she had presented at that time. We had several questions. She went back, she answered lots of questions in terms of what was the total budget, what was the portion that we were providing. She provided great detail on the types of trainings that we were in particular wanting to look at. We then had a meeting and we sat down and discussed what are the best things that align with BEDC in your budget, as well as how are we going to go back and take a look and identify all promotional items so that we could make sure that we were within the 10% guidelines. So she was gracious and went back and took a look at her work and how she thought the money could be best spent to further the cause of Main Street and align with the BEDC objectives. So this is the new and revised allocations, and we have looked at the detailed spreadsheet, and we also have it bucketed and formatted in the ways that you had presented it last time so we could really talk through them. So if you want to just start by even talking a little bit about how you came to the new process before we start asking some individual questions, because you may actually answer them before we actually ask for questions. Sure.
So first of all, good evening. Thank you for having me here. I want to once again just comment that how impressed I am in the city of Bastrop, the way that all the different organizations work together, and the way that the community partners come together, and of course, BEDC being a big part of that. So I've been quite impressed since I moved to Bastrop, the way that everyone comes together for the greater good of making Bastrop a better place for all of us to live. So thank you so much again for considering our request for $50,000 for this year to support our Main Street program. Since our last time, I have spent time going back and pulling together our entire budget to give y'all a better picture of exactly where the EDC funding that y'all have granted us in the past go. I have also sat down with EDC chairperson, Catherine, to go over promotional funding and exactly where that goes to make sure that we are best aligned with y'all's interests when it comes to promotions under your own budget. So what we have to come back and present to y'all this evening is a revised request of where that $50,000 will go that works hand in hand with your own budget to ensure that we are getting the most bang for our buck and that we're leaving y'all's budget open to the most promotional value that you're able to receive.
Okay, I'm sure there are going to be some questions, but I'm going to start it off with one question that I have that's on the top of my mind. So because there are so many dollars on promotion, I would like to entertain a way to explore how we have visibility on your promotional items. So for example, and it wouldn't be all of them, but there are some times where it just isn't natural. So in my line of work, whenever I fund something, the organization always at the bottom will say, thank you, sponsors, and then provide some logos. And I'm sure there are other people who do sponsorships and provide logos, and they're getting that visibility as well. So I'm looking for dual visibility on some of your promotional items, and I don't know what that looks like, if it's on a lanyard, I don't know if it's on a brochure. I'd love it to be on the rack cards, but I don't know that we've ever done that before, and I'm sure you have other people that are promoting you as well, whether it's Visit Bastrop, where you're in a collaboration with them, and you'd be happy to recognize them. So I just want to throw that out there and entertain that exploration to see where that can happen.
Sure. I think it makes a lot of sense to include y'all's logo on some of our marketing materials. Like you mentioned, it's not unusual for us to include other community partners such as Visit Bastrop or some of our downtown organizations. So I think there are going to be a lot of times actually where it makes sense that BEDC also has their logo there, just to recognize and appreciate the support that y'all give us.
I just have one concern, and it's not major, because I think this is wonderful. Every organization's doing branding, and every activity is doing branding. I just want to make sure that we work together so that our branding is cohesive and that we don't work against each other, but it's basically what you said. Let's have a partnership and have it visible, if that's possible, and coordinate what we're doing.
Sure. I think that it has been a very easy partnership between Visit Bastrop, especially in Main Street. Right now, they're leading the charge in creating their new visitor's guide. And so what we're doing is we're designing a rack card that goes with that visitor's guide that can be used as part of with it or without it if we just like to place that rack card, such as when we have the runs in their bags without a visitor's guide. So I think that's a great example of how we're trying to work together, not only aesthetically, but also when it just makes sense to partner for, because we do have limited resources. Visit Bastrop has also done a great job of hooking in the Historical Society and other organizations, so that way we're working as one. So, thank you.
I have a couple of questions, because I can't help myself. On social media, you have 650 times 1,200, that's not 9,300. And I don't know what the 650 on social media is for.
I apologize. That's our monthly retainer that goes to our branding consultant who runs our social media pages. That should be times 12 for 12 months.
Well, and that's not 9,300. It's 7,800. So there's, which is weird because I don't know if you just plugged in numbers or didn't use the Excel. Normally Excel would catch that, but that's just not the right numbers.
Right. So this sheet, I think, might have been pulled out of the Excel sheet that I sent. So I think maybe in copying it over from Excel to Word, it looks like, I'm not sure where this was created. Oh, it's on that as well. Apologize about that. No,
but
that is correct.
It as parentheses, like you,
instead of putting in a formula.
Into the cell.
Yeah.
So that's just, it's 7,800. It's not 9,300.
I apologize about
tell
that.
me, and you pay that to someone as a retainer?
We do.
And what do you get for that?
They do 6 to 8 branded posts per week, along with 1 blog post on our website. That also, they go through and do our boost posts and just overall take care of our social media presence, both on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, and there's 3 spots: Destination Downtown Association, Destination Downtown, and Destination Downtown Brand Visit Bastrop. Can you explain the difference between those 3 things?
Sure. So Destination Downtown Association is actually an organization that focuses directly on building a brand around a downtown. So it is the featured activity. So that first one is for actually our association fee. And so what that gives us access to is a lot of training materials and webinars. So we actually work together with the Bastrop County and Visit Bastrop, and we invite them over for those webinars quite often. So that way we can watch them together and learn and grow from them. We actually have 2 this week, one on sidewalk dining and one on bathrooms downtown, and properly branding those. So we get a lot of good value from that. The next one is $750. That one is for us creating, so our downtown destination brand would be a market of the downtown as a whole. And so we are partnering with Visit Bastrop to jump on their website. So we currently have our own website right now, and it only gets about 500 views a month. And as y'all are aware, Visit Bastrop's doing an incredible job. They're getting somewhere between 15,000 and 20,000 views a month. So what we're going to be doing is building a microsite out under their website. That way we can jump on their views bandwagon and jump on their keywording and meta tags. So our downtown website will point directly to a microsite under Visit Bastrop. And so that large amount, I believe it's $7,500, that's the cost to their designer to build out a microsite for us under the Visit website brand. The $750 is the money that we're going to be spending on advertising, separate from the Visit Bastrop partnership.
Where are you going to advertise separately if it's not social media and it's not the Visit Bastrop website?
So that is going to be a plethora of sources, whether we do it for boosted posts, whether we do print ads. We just recently have been talking with the Elgin Courier, who oversees the Bastrop County Insider. We also work with several groups that have non-print materials like the realtors and organizations like that, in allowing us to send out marketing advertisements to their groups.
Because I thought the boosted post was covered in social media.
The boosted posts are covered, so we have boosted posts several places. For instance, if it's a Lost Pines Christmas boosted post, that budgeted amount is going to be in the Lost Pines Christmas line item. We then have non-event boosted posts, which are going to be when we are just generally marketing our downtown Bastrop. So during the slow times or during fourth quarter, when we want to bring specific attention to our downtown on a non-event day, which would fall under social media. And then if we have a specific push that we're trying to do, for instance, we're doing a market day in October where you get a tote bag when you shop downtown, that would be under just a shop local brand or a destination brand.
So but the social media post won't include something for the October event?
They naturally do, because the 6 to 8 posts per week do.
Right.
But that's just, so the difference between a post and a boosted post would be just.
No, I understand that, but if they're doing 6 to 8 posts and the $7,800 was supposed to include, isn't that include, you said some of they boost as well, or no, none of the boosting is in that?
Yes, some of the boosting is in that as well.
So is the $750 to cover things like the bags in October? I just don't understand the print ads and realtors, so is it supplies?
I'm sorry?
I'm trying to figure out what the $750 is.
And
It's not already covered in social media, Destination Downtown, Visit Bastrop, or the other ad stuff that you had.
So that would include, if it's not part of any of those other bundles, then it would probably include print material.
And the chamber scholarships, talk to me about that, $1,500.
Chamber scholarships are to allow our downtown businesses to attend chamber trainings. Whether a member or they're not a member, they do cost money, so we provide scholarships to all our downtown merchants who want to attend those trainings.
Is it first come, first serve, or how do you decide who to pay for it?
It is. So it is first come, first serve until the scholarships run out for the year. This is the first year that we're putting them in place, so our hope is that we are able to spend every single dollar, but we don't know if it will be far under or far over what we need.
So you have an application set up and a process and all that kind of stuff?
No, right now what the email says is that they need to reach out to me if they're interested in learning more about the Main Street Scholarship.
Okay. And this is a first year?
We just rolled it out with this upcoming, training at the end of August, I believe it is. I believe it's next week, is the first training we've done it with. So this is the first month we're doing it.
Did anybody apply?
We did. Yes, we did.
Let me ask a question about the Destination Downtown Brand Visit Bastrop. You said that the $8,000 is to help develop the website, so you're hooking in with the Downtown Bastrop. Is that correct?
Correct. We'll be a microsite under the Visit Bastrop
Okay. How
website.
much is Visit Bastrop? If this is the same company that's doing Visit Bastrop, what is their budget for their website? How much are they already spending with this company?
Oh goodness, they spend, from what I understand, an enormous amount.
Okay, so this is in line with basically linking in your site?
So we're unable to just link like that. We will actually have to build out a website. So they'll take our current website look and feel and information, and they'll move it to this microsite.
So just because I kind of like Connie, I can't help myself. One of the things that I had talked with Rebecca about was really and truly what her websites currently look like and what story do they tell. And my concern was that there needed to be a lot of work done on that, because you don't want to spend good money after bad. So in other words, we're wanting to spend money to get more visibility of that website, but we really need to spend time on thinking about what does that website say, what is the story it tells, who is it attracting, before we just push it over.
Right.
So that's another one of my big concerns, is just making sure we're not spending good money after bad.
One of the things specifically for the website, speaking to that, that we'd like to do to improve it is we'd just like to give it more information, because right now it's not a one-stop shop. You go to that page and you may get information, but then you'll have to go to the business page to find out the hours or the menu. So we'd like to keep that all in one place, so that way they can feel like they go to the Visit Bastrop page, they click the downtown Main Street link, and they can get everything they need to decide where, when, what, and how they're going to spend their time downtown.
Then my only other comment, and it's for this board to talk about, and I understand and I very much appreciate that the original $12,000 ask for continuing education is now down to $4,500, but that's still almost 10% of the amount, and we don't use 10% of our budget to train our own employees. So and there's a million other things on this list that I think that I wouldn't have problems with, so I'm not trying to say that you should or should not go to training. I'm just not sure if that's BEDC function. So I will hush. Y'all, we need to have a conversation about that.
No, that's actually a really good point there, because we are bouncing up against this all the time, and we have, now that we are a little more informed of the way that things fall into different buckets, we really have to look at that, that we don't keep going right up against it, because there's so many other projects that are going on. So this National Main Street, National Main Street now, fill us in on what that is, what the importance is of it. I mean, you had 5, you got it down to 2, so apparently you prioritize these. Mm-hmm. So give us a feel, if you would, of why that one is the #1 priority.
So the National Main Street Conference is a multi-day conference that's put on by the National Main Street Association, which we are an accredited member of. And what it is it's basically, I want to say it's 4 days, or it might be 5 days of just heavy learning. So from beginning to end, you are going to session after session on historic preservation, on marketing, on economic development, on grassroots community design, to really learn and try to bring back good quality sourced information on how to build a better Main Street program. It's built not only for Main Streeters. We also have a lot of preservationists. We also have a lot of architects, a lot of city planners and engineers. So it's really an interesting intersection of city officials.
Would you say that has a higher priority, and you glean more information from that than the next one down, which is just the state version of the same thing? Or is the Texas one not basically the state version of the same thing?
I think they serve different purposes. I think on the national level, it's really about learning the theory and learning the basic tenets of the different areas. And the Texas Main Street, I think, really is about homegrown, how to apply those nationally known tenets in a local place. So the Texas Main Street Conference is a lot of other cities talking that have done it successfully. So you can learn from what the Georgetowns are doing and talk about what they specifically did in their town. So it's very not the 5,000 feet view. It's very in the streets, in the trenches.
Would you say is the most important out of the two?
Ooh, that's difficult. I think they serve different purposes. I think it's important to understand the theory behind a principle you're trying to apply, but I think it's really helpful to lean on other towns' experiences and ideas that they've brought to life. So it would be difficult for me to rank those, to be honest. I think they serve different purposes.
You know, of course, the conversation is whether or not we should be paying for training that aren't our employees. My concern is that we should derive value from that, and what mechanisms can we put in place where there's a sharing of knowledge when you come back. So that's one point. My other concern is if we're starting to move this money around, that is the $4,500, which is not promotional money. So we only have $5,000 left on our 10% promotional wiggle room. So if we take that out, I want to make sure that we're shifting it to something that's not promotional so we can maintain that $5,000 wiggle room.
So the downtown beautification items, like parking, wayfinding, temporary signage, to me that's, and I'm not trying to be ugly, but if Rebecca is offered a job the next day, the training dollars are gone, and BEDC is out that money. Whereas if there are flags or planters or something that stays, and that, again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to training, but I'm just looking at it from a BEDC standpoint. Where should we be putting our dollars? Because I thought we were supposed to be focused on economic development and workforce development and that type of thing. So I don't know, Rebecca and I ended up together at the Power Up breakfast, and she mentioned that that she was working on a map to show all the parking areas, and the realtors were like, gee, I have one with you, you know. So I don't know if that's considered promotional. To me, that's more like informational wayfinding, but particularly as Main Street, and I know the AG's office gets to decide whatever that stuff is, you know, I understand that part, but something that if someone says to us, you guys spent $50,000, what did you get for it? I would like to be able to point to some things. And it would, and then if you're not spending it on that and we're picking up that, then you would have money in your budget to do, you know what I mean?
Well, you're going to attend many trainings beyond the two, so us not paying for it does not keep you from going. You're going to go to those trainings.
No,
Just
ma'am.
make sure the board
Right,
understands.
and I'm not disputing whether or not she should go. I'm saying when I look at the entire list of things that Main Street is planning on spending money on, I think there may be some items that are more appropriate for BEDC to fund. But that's, again, that's just one person's opinion.
Well, we do have a resolution to pass. Let's see how it, I believe is the resolution broken into the two pieces?
Yes, ma'am. Both the resolution and the agreement have been divided out.
Okay, so the agreement has the breakdown of what's promotional and what's not promotional. The resolution just has the 50,000, correct?
Yes, ma'am. We took out any verbiage that related it back to it being a project in the resolution to help to keep us from having to do two separate ones.
Yeah,
Like
so
the fifth or sixth whereas. It's the second to the last on page 1 of the deal and page 12 of the packet.
Well, I mean, you know, if we want to go ahead and agree to the $50,000 spend with the modification of the training to be dedicated to non-promotional dollars as agreed upon by, you know, BEDC, we could probably go ahead and pass the resolution. Is that correct? That way the line item budget could be done?
You can make any changes handwritten to the resolution that you want to, and then sign it tonight. Yes. And then that would go for the budget as well.
Well, we've got a math issue anyway between the 9,300 and 7,800.
The total amount does equal over 50,000 because we didn't divide it, so we may still get to the 50,000.
That's true. The total amount was like 52 something.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in a very simple manner, we would be approving a $50,000 contribution to the budget, but we would have further discussions on perhaps having, I hate to use the word restrictions, but having more input as to where some of that money may go. Is that fair assessment?
Well, and the way it's 45,000 for promotional and 5,000 for the administrative expenses. And I guess, Catherine, what I hear you saying is right now that 5,000 was all training. Is that what you're saying?
It was. So we want to make sure if we're going to reallocate that training for 5,000, we want to make sure we're not putting it into the promotional bucket.
Yes.
And I
So
think we
then
can
the
do
way
that.
it's written is 5,000 of administrative expenses. So just come back with a different administrative expense would be a way.
Yeah, we could do that. Okay. I think that, are you okay with that? I think
Absolutely.
I think that, yeah, I think that gets you where you need to get and gets us where we need to get.
Absolutely.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move that, do what she said.
Maybe a little
Okay.
something more substantial. So just, it's 3.3.
Yeah. And item 3.3, I move that we approve the $50,000 allocation for Main Street, reserving the opportunity to rearrange some of the expenditures so that our promotional budget isn't exceeded. Oh, and the resolution, wait a minute, I have my glasses. Resolution number is 2019-0019.
Okay, just to make sure we're clear before we have a second on it, the motion is to approve Resolution R 2019-0019 in the amount of the $50,000 spend for Main Street, maintaining the 45K as promotional and 5K as administrative is, I believe, how they classify that. So do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those approve? Aye. Opposed? And the resolution passes. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all very much.
Thank you.
So at this time, we are going to be going into executive session. In the executive session 4.1, the Bastrop EDC Board of Directors will meet in closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, to discuss the following. Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, and Section 551.087, deliberation regarding the commercial or financial information received on potential projects, Project Paint by Number, Project Molly, 921 Main Street Project, Project Gnome, Project Red Carpet, Project Q-Bert, and Project Hobbs. Section 551.072, deliberation about the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, Project Paint by Number, Project Molly, and 921 Main Street Project, and Project Q-Bert. And Section 551.074, personnel matters, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of an employee. The time is 5:31. If y'all go do something. The BEDC Board has reconvened from executive session. The time is 7:29. All right. What? Oh. Yes. No action will be taken at this time from the executive session. 4.2. All right, let's see. We're moving on down. Oh, okay, let's do 3.4. Let's just keep going in the same order. Consideration, discussion, and possible action to approve Resolution R 2019-0020, authorizing the negotiation and execution of a structured lease for the EDC office located at 301 Highway 71 West, Suite 214. Jean, take it away.
Good evening. Yes, so we moved into that building in October of 2017 at $3,300 a month, and the owners of that property have been extremely gracious with us and very patient with us as we've gone through the transition of 903 Main and now the build out with 921 Main. And so we did talk with them about securing potential longer term lease now that we are negotiating an opportunity at 921 Main, with the flexibility that if something did transpire, that we had the flexibility to also still go to 921 Main. We wanted to look at all of the options. So E&M Properties have asked that we look at if we did a 3-year lease term with them, then it would be $3,400 a month. If we did a option for a 1 year with a 2-year option on that, then it would be $3,500 for the first year and then $3,400 for remaining 2 years, 2 to 4 years basically. And so we wanted to talk with you all a little bit and see what your thoughts are on that and how you would like us to proceed.
So why don't you just share? Sam did weigh in on this. Go ahead and share that back, and then they.
Yeah, Sam is completely comfortable with this option. Again, they've been extremely gracious with us and very flexible with us. And Sam Kier, our treasurer, has weighed in and feels very comfortable with the 921, I'm sorry, with the 301 Highway 71 option.
Which option? You
With,
described two. Which
well,
one did you say?
he's really comfortable with either one. It I think is a board decision. He's comfortable with whichever direction that the board would like to go.
I said that's not helpful. I want to pick one.
I mean, they're both really good options, and so, you know, depending on what you guys are comfortable with, if you need to go with the 1-year term, and feel more comfortable with that and waiting until 921 Main is completely built and then taking additional options on top of it, then that's the route we need to take. If you guys are comfortable with moving forward and we all have a great positive attitude about 921 Main going completely smooth, then the other option is a great option. That's kind of how you got to break it down.
I mean, really, we're talking about $1,200 here, basically. If we take the option, I think we take the option. I mean, in my opinion, I think that's a good way to do it. We go ahead and take the option, and because it's not really.
Which one are you talking about taking?
The 1-year option at $3,500, and if we decide we're going to do more, then we can sign a 2-year at $3,400. It's only going to cost us $1,200 more.
Yeah,
period.
it's a $1,200 insurance policy on 921.
Yeah, and we don't have an executive director. We've got construction going. There's a lot of balls in the air, and it seems like it's a good time to not lock somebody into 3 years because there's things are changing a lot. So.
Right. So that would be my recommendation.
Given that recommendation, I will move that we approve our 2019-0020 with the 1-year option with 2-year extension.
Do we have a second?
Second that.
All those approve?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
3.5, consideration, discussion, and possible action regarding BEDC's proposed budget for fiscal year 2019-2020, including but not limited to action to modify the proposed budget and/or adopt the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget as proposed or modified.
Excuse me, we are prepared to present the changes that have been made to the proposed budget. Angela has a presentation that she put together. The changes have also been provided in your packet, and we can also, we're prepared to answer any question that you may have at this time.
Do we want to, let's highlight the changes, and I think that'll refresh everybody's, everything else was pretty standard, but there were some considerations that we do want to talk about.
Is it okay if I do it from here? Sure. It's okay. Thank you. Remember how to use this. He's going to change it over for me.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, you probably need a different file, right?
Bingo.
And for folks at home, we're on page 25 of the packet.
Okay. Okay, I was asked to include a cover sheet that explains how the EDC is funded and also describe what it is that we do. So that explains our mission statement as well as how we're funded from a half-cent sales tax on the cover. Any of the changes were highlighted in yellow. So on the revenue page, let me skip the totals page because that all plays out from the other pages. The revenue page, the finance department has increased the projections for the 2020-2021 forecast. Thank you, dear. Appreciate it. And then we had some miscellaneous listed under 4514 that we weren't sure where it came from, so we deleted that. Okay, I'm trying to keep up the page numbers at the same time. So on page 29, under administration, the HR department tweaked those numbers a little bit. We've also accounted for a possible intern in that operational salaries as well as Social Security. And because there were some changes in the salaries, there had to be some changes in the benefits as well.
Can I ask a question
Yes,
about
ma'am.
that? We haven't had a summer intern before, and we don't have an executive director, a full-time executive director. I'm not sure if this summer is the best time to have one. So it's not that much money. It's not the money as much as do we want to, I feel like we're making a decision for a future executive director without a future executive director being in place. And I may be being picky, so I will hush. You may speak.
No, I actually agree with you. I don't think that right now, because of the situation that we find ourselves in, I think that we need to just kind of, it's not the right time. It's a great idea, it's just not the right time for summer.
Oh, this would be next summer, right?
We're talking 2020.
Correct.
The
It would be
summer's
next
over.
summer.
That's less than a year from now, because I would think the intern would start in May of 2020, which is 6 months from now. Is that right? Like a May to an August kind of thing?
I just think with everything that's going on right now, with all the construction things that we have going on, with the until we get the executive director set, I just think that it might not be the best time to do it at all. It's just.
So is the summer intern for marketing purpose? What was the summer intern going to do? And I'm sorry, Pat, you may have had a different question.
No, my concern was with all this, I don't know what the purpose of the summer intern is. That was what I was thinking.
Most of it will be for doing like graphic design work, do some of our videos in-house if possible. The idea for this came about because of the Art Institute. I would like to work with one of their students, ideally for summer interns, so that's where I got the idea from. And this would still be money that would be spent on like graphic design, but it would be done in-house by an intern as opposed to hiring a contractor.
I think that's a fabulous idea, but I think we've got to remember that those students won't start
Until next fall.
Until that fall. So maybe the following year would be when they've finished a year and they know Bastrop. I didn't know you were thinking about an Art Institute student. I think that's a fabulous idea, but maybe after they've been
sure.
here, just a suggestion.
Okay. All right. Made a note here. I'm going to just make a list so that whatever amendments we make.
Okay, great.
And then Angela's going to be mad at me, but and because I don't know what page it is, because I don't know. But the 921 lease is in at $22 a square foot, and that is not what the lease is for next year. And it calls out separately that because I thought that was maybe 19 plus the triple net, but it specifically says the triple net's in a different line item. So it's 19 the first 5 years.
But you and Sam had said that was an average over the, I'm sure that was the number that came from Sam when we met with him.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, we can change it.
For the revenue for next year, it's $19 a square foot.
Okay.
And I just didn't want us to have a number because the lease is public information, and I didn't want anyone to think that the lease terms had changed,
So this would-
specifically the tenant.
Probably
It may have been timing. I don't know. And I'm so sorry that I can't tell you what page I saw that on, but it was forecasted revenues, and I just saw that in the explanation it said 921 at $22 a square foot.
Because I think that was a combined estimate that from the numbers that we were running, because we didn't have anything solidified. So that, I believe that is correct.
So do we need to go back and adjust that then, is what I'm hearing? But then again, I believe Sam, and when we had that meeting, decided we were going to take it down. We came to a direct number, and then we brought it down by quite a bit, because we weren't sure about the finish out space in the end, as well as some other things. So I'm showing 40,000. I still think that comes in after, I'd have to do the math, but.
Okay, my issue is that it's rental income, 921 Main 601, I found it, -00-00-4524.
Yes, ma'am.
It says at $22 per square foot, it needs to say 19.
The memo needs to be changed.
Yeah.
And
So-
that's what page, Connie?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were reading.
27.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So do we need to change the amounts or just the memo?
If 22 times 9,000 is 49,000, yeah, I'll make the math work. But
Okay.
Just,
Yeah.
I just wonder if it was a test to see if I was really reading the whole budget.
Right.
So.
That is correct. Okay, are we on administration now, or did we took care of that? Intern, okay. Now we're on to operations, which is page 31. Okay, that's what the mayor was speaking about. We pulled out all the triple net expenses, so that now those all show up under a new line item, 70-00-5548, 921 Ministry expenses. And that is where the triple net costs go. So those were backed out of our own line items. And the reasoning for that was that Sam wanted to be able to account for those numbers individually from our own, and it made perfect sense, so that's what we did. So you will see a decrease in building repairs and maintenance for this year, the next budget year, as well as the year after that, because that is just our office building that pays for the cleaning of the building and any kind of things that might come up, fixing the toilet, water heater, whatever that is not covered by the landlord. The office lease, I think we now have an answer to, so that's one of the things that we need to make a note about so that we can change it. And then the property insurance is the same thing as the maintenance that was pulled out. Did you have any questions about those?
Okay. We move on.
Okay, so now we're on to professional services. No, there you go. The only change on that was now that we have a project manager for 921 Main Street. We know that it came in lower than we had averaged out, so we reduced that by $60,000. The next changes would be on the city project services, which is page 37 in your book. Because we have not yet come to a conclusion on the contract with the city requesting an increase in the administrative services for next year, it was left at $18,000, which is what it's been.
And then the shared services at 7,500 is someplace else?
Correct. It's under
Administrative.
5575, I think. Yes. Correct. That also remained the same.
There we go. Thank you.
Yes. No changes there. No changes there. Okay, so the last one. No changes? Skip. 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 Or do we need to go back on one?
Well, I tell you what, on those amounts, we don't need to go back, I'm sorry. But if you would take a moment to go over page 38 for us, which is the city projects, and share how we're looking at that, because it will come up on the agenda in September.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So 2 years ago, when Mr. Kirkpatrick was still here and he was putting together the budget, it came to light that we had been funding for the mowing of the entryway monuments and Highway 71 right-of-way. And our new legal counsel said that that was not exactly legal funding of our Type B funds, so they came up with a different way that we could help pull back from that but still be legal. So the agreement was that if the city could come up with a legal way that we as the EDC could help fund some of their programs, which would include parks, for instance, that we could help out with that, but we would be basically depreciating over a 5-year period. Last budget year was $83,250, and this year it's $66,600. Last year the city did not take advantage of that amount, but this year they have asked for $72,000 and a little bit more. So we checked with our legal counsel. He said because it was budgeted, we could go ahead and pay the city that $66,600. He decided that all of the expenditures were legal because they were funding parks, but that extra would need to come back to the board for their approval. If the city wanted that little bit of extra, then they would have to come back to the board.
Okay. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention because there was a line item. It has been paid. It is perfectly okay to pay that $66,600. They felt that the real cost were $72,000 plus, but since that's over and above what the agreement. The idea is not that we increase it every year, but that we diminish it until it disappears. So it's going to be an agenda item next month to decide if you're going to add that extra $6,000 to make it $72,000. But in the meantime, I just wanted us to refresh our memory as to what this agreement was, the fact that it is diminishing, and we have paid the $66,600 moving for this year.
So can I ask this? So the $66,600 was in the fiscal year 19 budget that we approved?
Yes, ma'am.
And there's $49,950 in this year's budget?
I think you did put it in there, actually.
Let me double check.
Yes.
Got it? Okay.
So if you look at page 37, top line,
I didn't go back far enough.
next year's budget has the $49,950. We certainly don't want it to escalate year in and year out while we're trying to diminish it. So she has accounted for both 19 and 20 at 49 and 2020, 21, 33.3.
And this is, because I just don't know, this was specifically for parks. This isn't the stuff that Mr. Job presented, because those numbers are close. That's why I'm asking.
Right.
No, we are
It's
somewhat
separated.
thinking that maybe that's the reason why we don't have that separate amount being presented again. We're not quite sure. Maybe they'll come to us and present that amount, but
So was it for like Delgado or something, or a future park? It's
I
for a
believe that
park.
was one of them.
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
There were
No,
three.
so the $60,000 that they asked for project management on MLK and Trail has not been presented to us again. So we're sticking with the $18,000 and then the $7,500 shared services.
Okay, so the last change I had was we were asked to make sure that we annotated somewhere the cash reserve amount for the 2018 bond debt issuance of $108,127. And 42 cents for 15 years. That's the life of the bond. And then the leftover amount in the 2013 bond is $315,854. And I went ahead and put in the entire verbiage that was presented to me from the finance director. That is because that was a piggyback situation on the city of Bastrop's bond debt. So whatever was spelled out in the city of Bastrop's bond is the same that's spelled out for us. Now, when we took the bond at the EDC, it was specifically for two projects, infrastructure in the business park and the Main Street Improvement Project.
All right. Any questions about those changes or anything else on the budget? I think it's pretty straightforward. I think it's pretty much a wrap on that. So I do think if we're ready, we can make a motion to approve the budget with the modifications that we have noted. The modifications I have for whoever's making the motion is that we change on page 27 the square footage amount to $19. We remove the intern at $8K.
Can we move that intern to the next year?
Yeah.
Because we're showing forecasts for the next year, so let's
Sure.
put the intern in for the
Yeah,
next year.
right
That'll
in there.
remind us all that was a good idea.
That makes sense.
I can certainly do that, yes.
And then change the office lease amount on page 31. And those are the only ones I think we're making an additional.
And this isn't a change of a number, but this, in my opinion, is a policy for this board. I think I saw, like purchasing the table on Main. What pages would stuff like that be on? That's in the marketing?
That would be under marketing. Correct, that would be a sponsorship, but I believe the header is marketing, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look.
So, and I'm fine with the marketing dollars. Here's where I'm going. I think if we're going to do sponsorships like that, if the EDC is going to buy a table, it needs to have potential business folks that we're trying to recruit to town. I don't think, you guys are great, but I don't think buying a table and having staff sitting or board members sitting at the table. Or empty. Or it's empty. So and it's not just table on Main, in my opinion. It's anytime we're using tax dollars, it needs to be geared towards workforce development and economic development. So if there's somebody that we're trying to recruit, if there's an active deal that we're doing or whatever, I'm fine with that. And if an executive director or the chair of the board needs to be there with them to help them have the experience, but I think the default of we automatically buy a table and then we're trying to find people to sit at it, and I think that's a policy statement for the board. So I need folks to chime in on whether you agree or disagree with me.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the numbers. It changes what our intent is when we're approving the budget.
Well, I support that 100%. I think that's what we should be looking at. That's what we should be doing. We should be setting the standard on that one. So yes, I agree with you 100%.
And I think that's the same for chamber banquet or any other banquet. The taxpayers shouldn't be funding staff and board members to sit at fancy dinners. That's not, I love you guys, but eating dinner with you is not economic development, you know?
I do think that when we do that, that either the chair or the executive director should be there.
Agreed. But one quote unquote yes, or both, but 2 of 10 is real different than 10 of 10 or
absolutely.
So.
Mayor, the treasurer and I have actually been speaking about the possibility of updating the policies and procedures, and I think that might be a good place to put that. With the changes that are going on at the city and some other things that have been going on in our office, we've decided it's about time to update those policies, and I think that might be a good.
I think that's a great idea. Okay. Thank you, Angela. Ms. Ryan.
Angela's fine.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll move we approve the resolution 2019-0020, isn't it?
There's no resolution for the budget.
Fiscal year 2020 FY 2020 budget with the amendments that Catherine enumerated.
I'll second that.
All those in favor and opposed? And it passes. Thank you. All right. 3.6, presentation of new visual identity for the Bastrop Economic Development Corporation.
So we contracted with Frank and Victor to redo our entire visual identity, our digital footprint. This starts with a logo, new social media icons, graphics, and then we'll transition to a new website. So the new visual identity is timeless, fresh, uncluttered. We wanted one that will grow as we grow as a city and as an organization, so that it's not stayed or dated 5 or 10 years from now. We wanted to have a classic brand, one that's not burdened by being a dated piece. So this is what the firm came back to us with. We went with the concept called Amplify, which has a gradual amplification from beginning to end. And this signifies the progression and growth of Bastrop. It's clean and dynamic, and the progression allows for us to use a dynamic tagline at the bottom, and it still not feel cluttered. And then next to that is the secondary logo. It's a pine cone, and just a little background. Pine cones are close their scales tightly to protect the seeds and open their scales so that the seeds can be released to grow into new trees. And these seeds represent the new businesses that can find a home in Bastrop. And so the secondary logo can be used on the front of a cap, for example, on the back of a business card or a postcard. So we're not always using the main logo. So similar to that would be an example like the Nike swoosh check mark. You see that check mark and you automatically know that it's related to Nike. You don't always have to see the Nike, word or brand. And these are just various examples of the logo from.
Ms. Davis, what's a glyph?
It's like an icon we can use on social media. Like that's all it is.
Just wanted to show my ignorance. I don't know what a glyph is. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And so really like as a staff, the bottom right idea, we can see this being used either on a retractable banner at an event, a billboard, something like that, or t-shirt, on our website, social media, Bastrop opportunities, Bastrop optimism, Bastrop openness. That's a really good play on the word Bastrop, and it continues the same gradual progression from beginning to end. And the last slide is how the logo will look on various mediums and various applications. We wanted something, the green kind of shows how Bastrop, is known for the Lost Pines. It's a very good like nature feel, but it's also dynamic, clean, friendly, open. Any questions?
The only question I have is that what you settled on? Do we have others to look at? It's nice. I'm just curious if we had others to look at.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we settled. We presented with 3 concepts, and we thought this was the best concept of all 3 based on the guidance that we had given to the agency when they first began the project.
Who was the agency that did it?
Frank and Victor.
Frank and Victor.
I'm not sure if you met him, but Chris Visit, he's the principal of Frank and Victor. He actually came to the Keeling screening.
I think that some of the applications are good, but like this shirt looks like you just ran out of ink.
That's only an example. We can definitely change that.
I'm not sure.
They only wanted to give us an example of what it would look like on a shirt, and this wouldn't be the shirt. Like, for example, in this, we could use the glyph if we chose to.
Are you asking us to approve this, or are you just showing this is what you are working on right now?
This is what we're working on right now, but yeah.
But you have decided on this one,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
So there won't be any other discussion about seeing any additional ones?
No, not at this time, because we have to move forward. We have to do the new branding for the ABJ is due pretty soon, August 30th.
Then actually you are asking for approval on this. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm confused. If you've already chosen it, then you've already chosen it.
It's a presentation, yes. Do you want to go back and undo?
No, I just, I need to ask it another way.
Has the final decision been made?
Yeah, you're telling us this is what you've chosen. You're not asking us do we like it. You're saying this is what you've chosen.
Yes.
I just want to make, okay.
I am concerned that the BAS is really thin.
Okay.
I don't know if that means that conceptually I understand what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I actually saw the other ones. I think this was the best of the 3. It's what I had told Fallon when I saw it. I said, I'm one of these people who I don't know until I see it. And so what I start doing is mixing and matching different ideas, and it takes me a much longer
Mm-hmm.
process than just looking at 3 and selecting the one that I like the most. But when I look at this in these different applications, whether, if this is the concept where it starts weak and it gets bigger and bolder, then you might have to be bigger and bolder so that you get more something in the beginning, just because I think you're losing the very beginning.
Okay.
I still think it looks like you ran out of ink.
Or found ink, right? On the shirt, it seems like it needs to either have the EDC or that glyph thing or something, because of all of them, the shirt to me doesn't work
Okay.
at all.
Yeah.
And even the book cover, I just,
Can you go back a couple slides till we show the glyph with the pine cone? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a designer. I'm not professing to be a designer. When I see that, to me, it looks like a state park logo. It doesn't tell me this is the Bastrop EDC. And I know that, and I'm not trying to be critical because you guys have done a lot of really good work here. I'm just telling you my opinion when I first see it. It doesn't look like an EDC logo to me. It looks like a state park logo.
You would never see this logo alone. So, for example, on our social media page, this would be like the circle icon on the left side of Facebook, for example. But at the top, on the cover photo, you'd have the entire Bastrop EDC logo. So one would not ever be apart from the other. Like I mentioned, the hat example, you'd have the clip on the front of the hat, but you have our logo on the back of the hat, for example, or Bastrop EDC in the back of the hat.
So it's like having two logos? It's like a small...
There's the main one and the secondary one.
Do you have a letterhead that shows both of them together? I mean,
They can do that, yeah.
okay.
Did you have other choices?
Yes.
No, it wasn't.
Go next slide. I really do like, I don't know about the fade in and get strong, but I love Bastrop opportunity. I love that, the 4 examples in the right-hand corner.
Mm-hmm. I think so as well. Okay, so for the activity report, August has been a very busy month for the staff. Fallon, Jean, Angela, and I participated in the annual City of Bastrop Board's Commission, the volunteer fair. And it was a really great opportunity to meet people who were interested in being on our board. We had several really long conversations with people who were interested in learning more about the BEDC, so we gave away a few brochures. Another event we had was I attended the Best Breakfast on July 26th. Jean attended the Workforce Summit in Austin, August 13th and 14th. And she was invited to that event from 2 people she met actually at the Keeling Center screening, so that worked out well. The Art Institute of Austin announcement, I believe we had more than 100 people there, which is excellent because the release went out the day before, so it was great seeing everyone there the next morning. It was carried live on Facebook. It was on the front page of the Bastrop Advertiser. It was also covered on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, including paid ads on Facebook and on Facebook and Instagram. And there's still some legs on this announcement. I posted a video from New Republic last week, and we've gotten a good number of reactions, positive reactions on Facebook. And then I also used the press release to create social media graphics. So every week or every other week, we'll use quotes and a photo that our designer created to publicize on our social media channels. The Chamber of Commerce presentation, Jean and I addressed the audience. It was a full house, and we had between us about a dozen people who wanted to talk to us afterwards about economic development in Bastrop, and I got more people reaching out to me on LinkedIn personally after the event. The Keeling screening, so for the video, we're at about 7.5 thousand views on Facebook alone, and one of the doctors at MD Anderson, they're using Keeling to recruit someone, a director level position at the center. So that's definitely continuing to have a life. Excuse me. So year to date, we are at 28 for out of region visits. We're at 50 for sources of leads, which is a great deal more than where we were. We're at 50 for so far for the year FY 2019. 2 announcements so far for the year. That will be Art Institute and Irby. Existing business engagements for July 2019, we're at a total of 13. That includes in-person visits, assistance requests, workforce development meetings. So far for the year, total engagement, we are sitting at 74. So all of the leads that have interest in coming to Bastrop, the #1 industry has been general manufacturing at 33% of all the leads, followed by advanced manufacturing at 24% and biotechnology at 12%. Project updates. The Agnes Street extension is complete, and the ribbon cutting is August 22nd, so we invite all of you to come out for that. We're excited about that.
10 o'clock?
Yeah, 10 a.m. 921 Main is in the design phase. The downtown trail is awaiting final approval from TxDOT. Technology Drive, it's not really an update on that, but it received the interlocal agreement draft. We'll be working with Bastrop County, City of Bastrop, and ourselves, obviously, in the coming weeks on this project. The Agnes Street ribbon cutting, we have a great presence on this on social media, so if you're on social, I invite you to share it, like it, invite others to attend. Really excited about the possibilities that opening in this street opens up for new business opportunities in the city in that area that currently does not exist. Website analytics, our top pages shifted some. We're actually, top pages include meet the staff, community history, news, about the BEDC, contact us. The blog is actually not one of the top pages, but we do have 2 new blog posts coming up. Excuse me. So for countries from the top visitors, we've added South Korea and the Philippines. Before we had just United States, Canada, and India. So we're seeing growth around the world for our website. Social media, I'm happy to report that now we have 4,202 followers on Facebook, which is an increase of 420 followers from this time last year. We're up LinkedIn by 14 new people for June 2019. This is July 2019. We're up 14, which is the greatest increase that we've seen since, at least since I've been here. Typically, LinkedIn has been like 3 or 4 people at max that follow our page. Facebook highlights, we reached nearly 38,000 people with our post, 18,995 video views. That's a 235% increase. I attribute that to Keeling and also the video we did on Brenda Abbott floral design. And so that earned media value amounts to nearly $190,000. That's it for me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, thank you.
Oh, I have one more thing to say, I'm sorry. You were talking earlier about inviting more than just the board to various events. I'm working with the Austin Business Journal on our event, our sponsorship, and they do have a table for us that we'd like to work with you all on inviting people from the new business opportunities and prospects to fill that table. And another idea she had was that people from our staff or our board, if they find out like who's attending, we'll get a list before the event. We can have someone from our team sit at that table next to that business prospect or that company head. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any comments, questions? No? Okay. The time is 8:09 and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.